You think corruption looks like a movie. You imagine smoke-filled rooms, men with scars and suitcases full of marked bills. You imagine evil laughter and grand conspiracies. You are wrong. Real corruption is boring. It is the color of a gray carpet in a windowless office. It smells like stale coffee and old printer paper. It sounds like the quiet scratching of a pen on a signature line. You don't start this life because you are evil. You start because you are normal. You enter the government with a university degree and a cheap suit, believing in the system. You believe in public service. You believe that the rules apply to everyone equally. But the building has a way of teaching you the truth. The lights are always humming. The air conditioning is always broken. The pay is terrible. You watch men in expensive cars park in the no parking zones, and you watch the police salute them. You realize the government is not a fortress of justice. It is a machine. And right now you are just a small rusty cog. But even a small cog can stop the wheel if it decides not to turn. This is your life. Not as a hero. Not as a villain. But as a man who learns that a signature is worth more than a soul. Level 1, the clerk. Your first job is simple. You are a clerk. You sit behind a glass window. Your world is defined by paper. Stacks of it. Permits, licenses, birth certificates, land deeds. Every day, 100 faces appear at your window. They are tired. They are sweaty. They need something from you. At first you work hard. You process the forms. You check the boxes. You try to be efficient. But you notice something. The harder you work, the more work they give you. There is no reward for speed. There is no bonus for kindness. Then comes the day of the lesson. It is 4:55 p.m. A man comes to the window. He needs a building permit. His paperwork is perfect. By the rules you should stamp it. But you are tired. You want to go home. You look at him. You say, "The system is down. Come back next week." You expect him to yell. He doesn't. He looks scared. He knows that next week means losing money. He leans in. He places a chocolate bar on the counter. "Maybe you can check again?" he asks. You check again. You stamp the paper. It wasn't money. It was just chocolate. But the feeling hits you like a drug. You didn't just do your job. You granted a mercy. You realize that you don't actually process paperwork. You own time. You can make a person wait for a month, or you can finish it in a minute. That stamp in your hand? It's a weapon. You stop rushing. You let the line grow. You learn the power of the word, no. You see the desperation in their eyes, and you realize that desperation has a market value. You are no longer just a clerk. You are the gatekeeper. And the gate only opens for friends. Level 2, the middle manager. 5 years pass. You are no longer behind the glass. You have an office. You have a title, Deputy Director of Procurement. You are level 2. The chocolate bars are gone. Now the currency is lunch. You are in charge of hiring companies to fix roads, build schools, and supply medicine. You have a budget of millions. But your salary is still barely enough to pay your rent. It feels unfair. You see the contractors driving Mercedes-Benz trucks. You sign the checks that pay for those trucks. One day a contractor invites you to dinner. It's a nice place. White tablecloths. Expensive wine. He talks about the road project. He says, "It's a shame the bidding process is so complicated. It takes so long." He smiles. "If my company wins, we can finish it fast. And you know, my brother owns a car dealership. If you ever need a discount." You hesitate. This is illegal. This is a bribe. But your brain, your smart, tired brain, starts to rationalize. You tell yourself, he is a good contractor. He will do a good job. I'm just cutting through the red tape. I am helping the government be efficient. You tweak the requirements. You add a specific technical detail that only his company has. You disqualify the cheaper options on a technicality. He wins the contract. 2 weeks later you have a new car. You didn't pay for it. It was a gift. You feel a spike of anxiety. You check your bank account. You look over your shoulder. But nobody comes to arrest you. The road gets built. The potholes are filled. The people are happy. You realize that nobody cares how the sausage is made as long as they get to eat. You are now a facilitator. You don't steal money from the vault. That's for amateurs. You just steer the river of money so that a little bit of water splashes onto your lawn. You tell yourself everyone does it. It's just the cost of doing business. Level 3, the director. You are 45 years old. The suits are Italian now. The office has a view of the city skyline. You are the director of urban planning. You have graduated from gifts. You are now in the business of assets. At this level, you don't break the law. You are too smart for that. At this level, you use the law to break the city. You look at a map of the city. You see a poor neighborhood. The land is cheap. You call your cousin. You tell him to open a company, a shell company with a vague name like Blue Horizon Holdings. You tell him to buy that cheap land. Then you go to your office. You propose a new project, a new highway, a new airport, a new stadium. And guess where it needs to be built? Right on top of that cheap land. The government must buy the land to build the project. The government pays Blue Horizon Holdings 10 times what the land is worth. Your cousin keeps a percentage and the rest goes into an account in a country where the banks don't ask questions. This is the clinical noir of corruption. There are no handshakes in dark alleys. There are only board meetings and PowerPoint presentations. You stop seeing people as humans. They are obstacles. That family living in the house you need to demolish? They are just a zoning issue. That journalist asking questions about the budget? He's just a PR problem. You hire your nephew to handle consulting. You hire your wife's firm for interior design. It is nepotism, yes. But you call it trust. You can't trust strangers. Strangers talk. Family stays quiet. You have built a machine. It runs on tax dollars and spits out profit. You feel like a genius. You feel like an architect of reality. You walk through the city and think, I own this. Level 4, the minister. You are the minister. You sit at the right hand of the president. The game has changed completely. You aren't dealing with roads or zoning anymore. You are dealing with the sovereignty of the nation. You negotiate with foreign superpowers. A mining company from overseas wants access to your country's copper. A tech giant wants to build a data center without taxes. They don't offer you cars. They offer you a seat on the board of directors when you retire. They offer your children admission to Ivy League universities. They offer to invest in your private foundation. The amounts of money are abstract now. It isn't cash, it's numbers on a screen. 50 million. 100 million. It doesn't feel real. Feels like a high score in a video game. But this is where the fear starts. At level 4 you have enemies. Real enemies. The opposition party. The international watchdogs. The ambitious young director who wants your job, the same way you wanted the job 10 years ago. You have to protect yourself. You can't just shred documents anymore. You have to destroy reputations. You use the intelligence agencies. You order audits on your rivals. You leak scandals to the press. You become the thing you hated when you were a clerk. You are the boot on the neck. You realize the trap. You cannot stop. If you lose power, you lose everything. You lose the immunity. You lose the money. You might go to prison. So you double down. You approve laws that restrict the press. You weaken the judges. You make sure the next election is secure. You sit in your limousine surrounded by security guards. You have everything a human being could want, but you have never been more alone. You analyze every conversation for betrayal. You wonder if your driver is recording you. You wonder if your wife is loyal to you or the bank account. You are a king, but your castle is built on sand and the tide is coming in. Level 5, the ghost. You are 70. You are no longer in the government. You are a consultant. Or maybe an advisor. Or maybe just a name whispered in closed rooms. You live in a villa in a different country, a place with no extradition treaty. The sun is warm here. The ocean is blue. The drinks are cold. But you are a prisoner. You cannot go home. If you land in your capital city, you will be arrested. The new government blames you for everything. They call you a monster. They say you stole the future of the nation. They are right. You spend your days moving money. You have a team of lawyers and accountants who do nothing but hide your wealth. They move it from the Cayman Islands to Zurich, from Zurich to Singapore. You watch the news with a detached, clinical coldness. You see a bridge collapse in your home city because the concrete was cheap. You remember signing that contract. You see a hospital with no medicine. You remember where that budget went. You feel a strange, haunting sensation. It isn't guilt. You killed your guilt 30 years ago. It is something worse. It is the realization of pointlessness. You have all this money, but you cannot buy your way back to the beginning. You cannot buy the feeling of being that young clerk who just wanted to do a good job. You are the ghost. You haunt the systems you built. You watch young men, hungry and ambitious, climbing the same ladder you climbed. You see them take the chocolate bar. You see them take the car. You want to warn them. You want to tell them that the ladder doesn't go up, it goes in a circle. It eats its own tail. But you don't say anything. You just sip your drink. You watch the sun set over an ocean that doesn't belong to you. Back in the capital city, in the gray room with the humming lights, there is an empty desk. The phone is ringing. A young man in a cheap suit sits down. He looks nervous. He wants to serve the public. He wants to change the world. He picks up the phone. He listens. He looks at the stamp in his hand. And the cycle begins again.